Juice, okay, good job.
Hey, I'd like to welcome everybody to the 2010 Weidner Family Reunion. Really good to be here, everybody. I'd like to say just a little bit about where we're at here with the Weidners. This is a pretty amazing group when you look around this group and you see this and we say, you know, what is it to go to a Weidner reunion? Those times when you go, hey, I'm going to a reunion this week, and everybody goes, oh, I feel bad for you. And when we're all thinking, hey, this is a good time. Well, so that's what the reunion thing brings up for most of us that have been involved in this for a number of years. There's lots and lots of young ones here, newborns. There's you know, from all ages all the way through here. And what does it mean to be a Weidner? Well, does it mean that your last name is Weidner? There's probably some people in this room that can't hardly spell Weidner. So it doesn't have to be. You don't have to have a last name of Weidner. Somehow or another, you're all connected. You're all connected through marriage or through birth, or you know, your parents. You know, it all goes back to Herman and Marcella. And when you take that into account, you look at as the family grows in size, it's so easy for us to become distant from everybody and not knowing who the people are and not taking the time to get to know these people, and you know, if they're not the ones that you grew up with right away, it's really easy to just, you know, kind of be sheltered on that. Try to go out at this reunion and meet some people that you haven't normally talked to. Try to go out and say, hey, you know, where have you come from? Where are the things that you've done? You know, find out what makes them a Weidner. Because all of us are a Weidner in our own way. There's something that it connects all of us together. You know, and as we come into this service tonight here, it came to the committee saying, well, you know, what kind of service do we have? Do we have a church service? Do we have a mass? Do we have you know, some pre-evangelical? What do we do for a service? Well, the truth of the matter is that it doesn't really matter, because all of us come from a place where we believe in a God that's going to take care of us, and that's going to take us and save us. So we just go from the point of, here's where we're at, believing it the way that you are, make this work for you the way that it is. We try not to offend anybody, of course, and if we offend you, well, if you don't come back next year, we'll miss you. Okay. So, so with that, just keep in mind, what is it that makes you a Weidner? You know, and meet some of these other people. And just get to know them a little bit more, maybe ask them a little bit more in depth than just the, hey, how are you doing? You know, where do you work? What kind of things do you do? What kind of things are you involved with? Some of us that are pretty outgoing, most of you know some of us that are pretty outgoing, and it's pretty easy to tell what we're involved with, but some of the people are very sheltered and they don't talk much about it. But you know, there's a lot of history that gets lost over the time and things that go that way. Most of us kids, the grandkids of Herman and Marcella, remember things about them. We remember the house in East Grand Forks. We remember the dike that was up there. We remember, you know, the things about going to the houses and the adults playing poker. You know, we remember a lot of those kind of things that even the younger generation isn't going to remember about this, you know, and it's our job to enlighten them on what that is. And that's part of the bringing everybody together reunion, is to try to not forget some of that history. So with that being said, we're hoping that everybody has a really good time, and we'll have some announcements towards the end of it with a little bit more details on what things are going to go on. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to open up our service. Okay, so I'd like to ask Terry and Veronica, really Veronica and Terry, to come up here, and they want to get everybody going and singing He or She's Got the Whole World in His or Her Hands. However that would be, because we want to be non-denominational and don't want to offend anybody. Do whatever the hell you want. All right.
Please join me in singing He/She's got the whole world in his or her hands. He's got the whole world in his 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 hands. He's got my brothers and my sisters in her hands. She's got my brothers and my sisters in her hands. She's got my brothers and my sisters in her hands. She's got the whole world in her hands.
I'd also like to thank everybody for coming. Like Tim said, being here and being a Weidner is sort of something very special. Years ago, our grandmother, Marcella, asked her kids not to let the family fall apart and to have these reunions. That's why we have an annual reunion. We have a Christmas party every year, which I got to tell you is just really a fun event. And the people who show up, it's just a really enjoyable event for all the kids. And then we have these big reunions every 4 years. So I want to thank you. I want to recognize the people who come so far. The Vadavas, thank you for coming the way you do. You know, it's easy for me to come up from Egan to come to Clear Lake for this, but you know, you guys make a special effort. The Dobbins coming from Canada, thank you. And then of course we have the couples who came from a very long way away in Singapore to make it here today, so thank you. Also, there's a number of announcements that we'd like to make. There were, on the birth categories, we've got recent births, Allison Dobbin, daughter of Aaron and Kim Dobbin. You know what? And as long as I'm going to call your names, why don't you stand up and we can see who you folks are. Okay, on the married side of it, and this is the one you gotta love, because if you married into this mess, you gotta stand up. You got Nathan and Angela Miller. Okay, and then anniversaries. We've got some special anniversaries this year. What? Oh, Carissa. Carissa and Matt, stand up. You know, I got to tell you, my copywriters haven't been doing a good job. We got anniversaries that are being celebrated this year. We have Jim and Mary Weidner, who celebrated their 40th wedding anniversary in June. Celebrating their 45th wedding anniversary this month. Today. Hey, congratulations. We'd sing happy anniversary, but the Weidners are such terrible singers. We've got Carol and Ron couple celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary in August. We've got my mom and dad, Harry and Lois Weidner, who celebrated their 55th anniversary in February. Okay, I'm almost done. I got a few more birthdays though. We're gonna go in age order. Marion turned 65 in February this year. And Janet celebrated her 70th in April. Lois had her 75th in January. And then Rosine had her 80th this January. The candles there are for Herman Weidner, son of Michael and Anna Weidner, Marcella Weidner, daughter of John and Margaret Miller, Furman Weidner, son of Herman and Marcella Weidner, Michael Weidner, son of Herman and Marcella Weidner, Michael Sherping, son of Erna and Clarence Sherping, Mary Kay Boats, daughter of Sally and Jerry Boats, Peter and Karen Trotter, son and daughter-in-law of Alvin, Dusty, and Mary Weidner, John Mueller, husband of Rosine, father to Jude, Jane, Jacqueline, Joanne, and Jennifer, Jerry Boats, husband of Sally, father to Mary Kay, Karen, Julie, and Lisa, Alvin Dusty Weidner, son of Herman and Marcella, husband of Mary, father to Peter, Jim, Bill, Pat, Jean, Margie, David, and Bruce, Evelyn Farmer, daughter of Herman and Marcella, mother to Kim, Sue, and Lynn, Patrick Stassen, husband of Judy, father of David, Emily, and Eric, and Martha Dobbin, daughter of Herman and Marcella, wife of Ron, mother to Jerry and Aaron. Sorry, Jenny.
Anyway, to begin with, I'd like to thank you for the honor of being able to say a few words here this afternoon, when I know you have so many more eloquent and profound speakers in your midst. However, I'd like to begin by taking this opportunity to thank all the members of the family. Anyway, for all your prayers, your support, your cards, your kind expressions to us, to our family. We thank you. And I'd like to make it clear that one thing Martha said many, many times was how much she loved this family unconditionally, every member of it, and that you're always welcome in Canada, and particularly in Edmonton. We'd be happy to see you at any time. So having done that, I think I can recover now and get on with what I was going to do. It's always hard to relate to that particular circumstance.
As earlier Mike had mentioned, those that traveled a long ways, and we see the Weidner family from Colorado under the name of Stassen showed up. Welcome. Oh, and Gary and Katie also there. They're under the Sherping Weidner clan. Okay, so with that, really, if everybody, thinks a little bit, reflects on the Weidner reunion, reflects on who you are in this family, on what you can do to keep this family going, make this family better in the future. That's what this is really about. It's really about being able to help everybody else and being able to bond with everybody, keep everybody together, take care of people in their time of needs, celebrate with them and help them in their sorrow.
Gone. Yeah, they're gone. Yes, you remember when I called you the first time? Yeah. That's when we had some. Okay, are we ready? Yep. Clear your card. Okay, we got 3 bananas. And we have a monkey eating a banana.
We've got one team that's already got their answers. 2 more minutes for the other teams. 2 more minutes.
And I, being one of the younger ones, I didn't have to work as hard as the older girls. The older girls had to help take care of us younger kids, plus do all the housework and stuff. But we all had our jobs that we had to do every Saturday. We cleaned the whole house. We even had to crawl under the beds and dust the mop boards. And every Saturday we cleaned. We washed all the windows downstairs every Saturday. And but then we could always play when our work was done. But we had to do our work first, and we didn't have television at that time. So our main entertainment was setting puzzles, playing games. We played board games, we set puzzles, and of course in the summertime we played ball. And we played outside, and we rode bikes. And
we had 3 bikes. 2 bikes for the 5 boys and 1 bike for the 10 girls. So was that okay?
When we went to grade school, we went home for dinner at noon. You had to wash up the dishes before you went back to school. Yep. And in the morning, you had to make all the beds, mop the floors, before you went to school.
We always had Christmas. We always had.
Yeah.
Everyone received something for
We
Christmas.
always had a nice Christmas. And that was, we didn't celebrate our birthdays. The only thing on our birthdays, we got a cake and we didn't have to do dishes that day. That was our birthday treat. We never got presents other than at Christmas time. Well, it started at our house in 1971. We used to live right in town in St. Cloud, and then we bought this 40-acre farm out in the country. And we moved out there in July. August was our mother's birthday, so I said, well, let's have a birthday party for Mom. Everybody come out here, and we had a birthday party. And the next month is when she had her heart attack and got sick and passed away. But we just continued. You know, that was really the start of it because we had room out there. Well, yeah, I don't know specifically if it was at that time or whatever, but I know she did indicate that she said that you know, she liked that we got together because we grew up with her sisters lived 6 miles away, and we didn't know our cousins when we were growing up. And so she always said that she wanted us kids, our cousins, to know each other, and so she said that she wanted us to stay together. And so we just thought, well, here's the perfect place. We have the room, and so it was just kind of something that we thought very important to do.
In different years, we had just the yearly one. We had one in Madison in '93, and different places had it.
We moved around to different houses and stuff.
Yeah.
And people can't believe it when, you know, that the young kids are excited to come to a family reunion, because most young kids, it's like, oh, do I have to go? I won't know anybody. And so we've just always tried to make it a good time. We first had it every 5 years. And then we decided that we needed to do it every 4 years. So,
The big one we had.
yeah.
But we got together.
Yeah, but every
year.
summer,
Yeah.
every year we do get together still, once in the summertime, but the main one when people come home. And we just decided, okay, now it's time. After the last one, we said, okay, this is the last one we're going to have out at the Triple R, and it's time now for the next generation to take over. But I think we have a wonderful committee this year. I think they're doing an excellent job. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I think they're sit back and relax.
Yeah. So I think it's really quite unique. And we so appreciate. We do a book. Roger does a book every year, and I just love it. I refer to it all the time,
yes.
because our grandkids will call up. They're doing a school project, and it's what does so and so do? Where do they live and stuff? And so you can just go through the book and you know where everybody is, and that way we get to keep up on all of our nieces and nephews and great nieces and nephews. And I don't know, when we started that, it was just kind of an idea to, you know, especially when our kids were all little, it was like if you only see them every 4 years, you don't know who they belong to and stuff. Like yesterday, I thought, oh, I'm glad tomorrow they wear their colored shirts. At least we know what family they belong to. So it was just one of those ideas that came about, instead of name tags, to wear colored shirts. I think the fun part is the games and the younger ones have always been in charge of the games. And I think that's the fun part, is the games that they think up for us to play.
Right. Yes, that's right.
So that department, that department, the kids have always taken care of, and I just love the games that they come up with. People have asked me, they said, do you play games or somebody had called me once, and she says, you know, I know you have a lot of reunions, and we're having one, and we need some games. Can you suggest any? And I said, well, no, ours are all original.
Yeah. Yes.
I guess they are original.
And
the softball game is a tradition.
That's tradition.
And that's good. The softball game is a tradition, because we were all brought up playing ball. I mean, all the time. We did all summer. We played ball.
So at Lois and Harry's cabin on Little Birch Lake, we were just one night, probably late at night, after after a few beers, we just decided to see what would happen if we put a beer in the fire. So we leaned up a couple of logs, made a hole to put it in between two logs. We put it in upside down, and it slowly heated up. You could hear the can expanding as it would start popping and getting more and more pressure, and then it would explode eventually. The top, since it was upside down, the top would blow off and fly up in the air, and sparks just flew everywhere. Woke up the next morning, and Lois is wondering why there were holes in burned in all of her lawn chairs, and it was because of the fire in the hole. So then we decided we wanted to contain the explosion a little bit. So then there was a hollow log, right, Mike?
Yeah, we got a hollow log, and it was in the fire, and this hollow log got so nice and hot, and it was you and I, Tom. Dennis was there for a while, but he had to leave. And then who else was with us? Sitting around, Evie.
Evie.
And
yeah,
Evie.
Evie was there.
Evie was with us, and we would put the can in upside down, and we started a tradition where you would take the can and we'd shake it up and put it around, and then pass it around, and then what we would do is yell fire in the hole and put it in upside down, and the log worked out really good.
Until it burned up.
Yeah.
As logs do.
Design flaw.
Design flaw.
A wooden cannon just doesn't work very well.
No. But again, the next morning, there were a lot of burned chairs, a lot of ash marks, and a lot of things. And so from then, we tried to improve the design.
Coffee can.
We tried a coffee can.
And that worked better than the log.
Yeah, it contained
it. But actually, eventually, the coffee can even burned up. Yeah, it got hot enough, and the coffee can burned up, and so then it was the
Gary was coming to a family reunion.
Yeah, so it was again a 4th of July trip, and so about a week before that, I went over to Lowe's, and I told him I needed a 3-inch inner diameter pipe that was nice and sturdy. And so I was walking around looking at these things, and I found these pipes that were leaning up against the wall in the corner, and they were 40 feet long. And I told the guy I needed 3 feet of this pipe, and he just looked at me and said, "Do you know how long it took me to stack those pipes up there?" And I told him I didn't need it today. I could wait. And so he asked me if I needed it threaded, and I thought, oh yeah, threaded would be nice, and they could screw one of those end caps on the end of it. So yeah, threaded would be great. So he cut 3 feet off, threaded the end for me, got one of those big caps on it. And it was the days when you could still travel with about anything in your suitcase. So I put this 3-foot pipe in my suitcase.
Pre 9/11.
Yeah, pre 9/11, and carried it onto the plane with me. I bought some welding gloves so we could grab the hot pipe for a few seconds, and I had it in the trunk of my car, in my rental car. We were out at the lake, so it was probably about midnight after most people had gone to bed, and so I went up to the car and I think I presented this gift to Tom. I think I put it in Tom's lap and said, "Hey Tom, try this thing out."
Yep. So he put it in the fire and
just got glowing red hot.
And we found that it works best if the bottom is glowing red hot. And that's when you know it's done. And then I think at one of the reunions we had used it, and everybody saw it.
And we did find over the years that we tried shooting different things, and it's got to be beer. I mean, pop does not shoot.
Cheaper the better.
Cheaper beer the better. Yep.
I don't know what it is.
I don't either, but at the farm, my favorite thing at the farm was when we put the rope on the top of the silo with the pulley.
Oh, yeah.
And hung on that and slid down into the telephone pole at the bottom.
Well, there's a design flaw there.
There was. And you know what? Honestly, God, you climb up the outside of that silo, and you got your parents sitting there watching you, and you've got that pulley with a piece of wood you're hanging on, and there's no safety at all. And you're sliding down, and if you didn't let go, you hit the pole. And our parents would watch us. Hey, Mom, watch.
Boy, I remember some green underwear one time.
Oh, that was
that was a wedding.
That was a wedding.
That was swimming out at Camp Sweeney.
Was that Bill's wedding?
Bill's wedding, yeah.
Okay. It was hotter than heck, man. that wedding was so hot, and we had to, on the way to the wedding, we crossed over a little creek, and on the way home from the wedding, we thought, man, this is so hot. It's like 90 degrees. We'll all go swimming. So we all went for a swim, but you couldn't. It was an underwear swim, so you had to swim in your underwear. And you got your stuff off. It was nice. It was so nice and cool and refreshing that you didn't realize you were swimming in a swamp.
Yeah, and the underwear became dyed green.
Yeah, that was it. And some of the aunts had their green bras on. And then when we got back and we told everybody where we went swimming, they said, "Oh, that's a swamp.
Yeah.
How could you swim in that?"
Well, you know,
it was cold. Growing up though, the whole thing with the family union was a softball game.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that was really the only organized thing.
Yeah.
And
Herm was a big part of that.
Herm and Harry, they would sit out there for hours doing that. And my favorite was when Mary Kay was the umpire.
Oh yeah.
Out on the field. They got a little board
right.
in front of her so she didn't get hit.
Yeah.
You know, and then that was fun. And they kept hustling her beers, so she was more than happy to sit. But it was really the softball was.
And it was sometimes a big kitten ball.
That's what it was.
That was
huge.
Yep, that big kitten ball.
Yeah.
So.
And Herm and Harry were always, you know, it didn't matter. There was always some little kid that was getting a home run hit or something. You know, there were more fumbles out on that field, you know, and things going on. And you know, those uncles to us as we were growing up really made us all feel part of the family. I mean, they really did.
Man, it's Reunion XL.
Yeah.
It's up in our alley.
Should have been XXL though.
Well, you know, the reunion started out, that I remember, it started out with the reunion and the family picture at St. Augustine's. They had that little basement kitchen thing where you walk downstairs to get into the basement kitchen, you know, and that's where I remember the first time that I remember that being. We were young, so.
And then they moved to the Triple R.
Yeah.
And they were there pretty regular, and that became
kind of a nice reunion central there.
Yep. You look forward to family reunions.
Oh yeah.
And I know my kids look forward to family reunions.
Yep.
You know, and we always have this big one every 4 years, but in between there, we still have mini reunions that happen. You know, we've had them at Harry and Lois's cabin. We've had it at Uncle Dusty's. You know, we've been just different places that we've gotten together. And
I don't know if Dusty's was a family reunion or just building that garage for him.
No, I think we did a reunion there too.
Well, yeah, like a couple years after, I think he needed that garage painted.
Oh, we did. We did.